Alright, so yesterday we had some news in the NCAA hockey scene that kind of got social media, especially Montreal Canadiens Twitter, up in arms, ablaze. Everybody was on fire talking about this, and, you know, we had to go out there and make a video about it, mostly because it was such a prominent conversation topic yesterday, and I don't think this is going to go away anytime soon, that realistically, when you think about the ramifications of this type of a process here, it really starts to get your head itchy, and you gotta scratch it a little bit, saying, okay, I wonder what's going on here. So yesterday we had ourselves the 3 finalists announced for the NCAA's Hobey Baker Award. Now, the Hobey Baker is pretty much the NCAA MVP, and winning it means normally that you're gonna be a pretty good player. I mean, that's normally how it goes. There are some players that win the Hobey Baker that aren't NHL talents. Adam Gauthier comes to mind. There are a few others that pop into that conversation too. But when it comes to a lot of these awards, especially for NCAA guys, the Hobey Baker is the cream of the crop. And I didn't actually know this until earlier yesterday, but the Hobey Baker Award, like the award itself, the trophy, it has a Twitter account. There is a person running the Hobey Baker Award Twitter account posting as the award. It's very weird. And they're also verified on Twitter, so, you know, I don't want to go out there and assume things if they subscribe to Twitter Blue or not, but I do believe this was already a thing beforehand. Let's go over onto the Hobey Baker and their Twitter post to talk about the 3 guys that were put onto the list of finalists and go over some other names that were not included too. The Hobey Baker Memorial Award Committee is pleased to announce the 3 Hobey Baker hat-trick finalists for the 2023 award, honoring college hockey's top player. Alphabetically, they are Logan Cooley, a freshman forward from the University of Minnesota, Adam Fantilli, a freshman forward from the University of Michigan, and Matthew Knies, a sophomore forward from the University of Minnesota. The 2023 Hobey Baker Memorial Award, hydrated by BioSteel, okay, so there's BioSteel getting in on the action, will be revealed at the stunning Sparkman Wharf in Tampa, Florida. The event kicks off at 4:30 p.m. Friday, April 7th, 2023. If you can't join us in person, be sure to tune into our live broadcast. Okay, we're not going to read that because I don't really care. But this is the graphic they shared. The finalists for the Hobey Baker: Logan Cooley, Adam Fantilli, Matthew Knies. 2 of these guys are on the same team. And the other is Adam Fantilli, who is... Okay, look, I'm going to go out there and spoil it right here. I think he's going to win it. He probably should win it. I don't know if I necessarily would have said that he should win it in general. There's another guy that has been kind of there that hadn't really been talked about at all. But the reason this Twitter post on the Hobey Baker's Twitter account got 1.2 million views, 500 retweets, and a whole bunch of replies in the process is because the guy that was not named as a finalist has a lot of fans, I'll say. Lane Hutson, everybody, of the Boston University Terriers, had himself a season that was record-breaking for Hockey East and the NCAA in general. He was 7th overall in point production in the NCAA, and he did things that we haven't seen out of an NCAA defenseman in decades. We've made so many videos talking about him and the statistics, the numbers, what crazy things he was going out there and doing, putting himself in the record books of this league, and he was not given the Hobey Baker nomination. Instead, you have Logan Cooley, who was 2nd overall in the NCAA in points, Adam Fantilli, who was 1st overall, is a freshman, is draft eligible, and was up and away just an absolute game changer. I think it's fair to say that these 2 kind of... When you think about what the Hobey Baker means, these 2 guys kind of insert themselves into the conversation and you're like, okay, cool. Like, Logan Cooley, we know the talent he has, we know the impact he had as a freshman this season, same could be said about Fantilli. It's just Matthew Knies that has a very interesting sort of profile when you acknowledge where he's been in the voting versus Lane Hutson. Hutson this season had himself 48 points in 38 games played, 15 goals, and 33 assists. Meanwhile, Matthew Knies had 41 points in 38 games played for Minnesota. The games played is the same here, but You have Lane Hutson, who actually outproduced Matthew Knies as a freshman, as a defenseman, and it gets even crazier when you acknowledge just what exactly it is Lane Hutson's season means in the context of the NCAA and its record books. Let's take a look at a tweet made by Hattie K. Hattie does fantastic work. We always shout out Hattie. They write for Habs Eye on the Prize, and they're also a part of Dauber. Here's the tweet for reference. When Cale Makar won the Hobey Baker in 2019, he put up 49 points in 41 games played. Lane Hutson's season isn't even done, and he has 48 points in 38 games, and he doesn't even make the final 3 nominees. Makar was 20 in that season. Hutson just turned 19. Snubbed. And then you have one of the snarky replies over here. Yeah, but Matthew Knies improved his point per game by .07 and had 2 line mates outscore him by almost double digits. Beat that. You also had Hattie say this. Fantilli, I get. But the other 2 have had average or slightly above average seasons for their age group. Lane Hutson cracked the top 3 all-time scoreboard for defensemen his age and has the most points of any freshman D in the last 30 years. How he isn't here is beyond me. And I'm going to go out there and say it. Part of the reason this is even really a big deal is because Montreal Canadiens fans are shoving it down everybody's throats. Hey, our prospect was really good and he didn't get the nomination. Like, this is blasphemy. What's going on here? In fact, you had Hockey East themselves tweet out a picture of Lane Hutson as well as a picture of Devin Levi. 2 guys that were just up and away the best players at their positions in that division, and neither of them got that nomination either. You could very well say, before the nominees were released yesterday, hey, if Devin Levi is a nominee, it would make a ton of sense. If Lane Hutson's a nominee, it would almost be a given. Now, here's the opposing perspective. I've seen a lot of people bring up Matthew Knies in particular as sort of the scapegoat as to why this Lane Hutson thing didn't happen the way people thought it should have been, because Matthew Knies did not produce all too well in comparison to Hutson. His improvements on the score sheet have not been all too great, but because Knies is a Leafs guy and Hutson is a Habs guy, we've had a whole bunch of back and forth on Twitter just regarding this aspect of the Hobey Baker in itself. This is what Sam Turpak said on Twitter. He used to do work with Dauber Prospects. I'm not too sure what he's up to now. His bio actually says Sportsnet, but big shout out to Sam. He does some really good work. Everyone is losing their minds over Matthew Knies being nominated for the Hobey Baker, but other than Hutson and maybe Snuggerud, there was nobody more dominant than him in terms of actual play. He's not going to make an impact in the playoffs, but he deserves to be in the talks there. Slicknick then replies, I love how you listed 2 players who both got robbed and still think it's justified having Knies there. Knies is up there in that tier with them. Like, clear as day, deserves to be there, Turpak says. I would have Hutson in the top 3 instead of Knies, but it's not like Hutson is worse when I say that Knies being in there is completely fine. I wouldn't bat an eye on that if I was a Habs fan. And as rational as that conclusion on this entire nomination process has been, Sammy, unfortunately for you, not all Habs fans are as rational to take a look at that and say, all right, well, the Hobey Baker is just the Hobey Baker. I mean, of course, ultimately you want to see your guys, you want to see your prospects, the guys in your system, get rewarded for what they have done. And unfortunately, the highest honor that you can get is not available to Lane anymore because he wasn't nominated for it. And sure, you could say Cale Makar won it while doing worse things. You have a whole bunch of statistical, historical parts of the conversation bringing itself up that say, hey, Lane was probably snubbed. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't get this award, it doesn't change how good of a prospect he is. Sure, it takes away the bragging rights opportunity that was kind of there. Hey, imagine having Caulfield and then Hutson win the Hobey Baker, and you have 2 of these guys in your system. That sounds great, doesn't it? But at the end of the day, that's just bragging rights. And if I were to place a bet, I know Matthew Knies has had a really good season in terms of his on-ice play. He's physical, he's big, he's fast, he can do it all, and he produces on top of that. Doesn't produce as much as Hutson, but he still produces. If I were to place a bet on ceiling, I'd say that Lane Hutson has a higher ceiling, honestly, as a potential elite game-breaking hockey player comparative to Matt Knies. If Knies wins the trophy, then okay, great. I mean, I personally don't think he should win it. I think Adam Fantilli, who led the league as a freshman in points, probably should take it home. But, you know, it's whatever. It's the Hobey Baker. Was Lane Hutson snubbed? Sure. I'd go out there and say that he was, but I don't really find too much value in getting pissed off about it and making a whole bunch of tweets and yelling at people about it on social media. Maybe that's kind of what I'm doing here by making a YouTube video about it, but either way, I'm going to upload this as it is. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Hobey Baker conversation. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.